In the distance lies the wreck of the cruiser Vizcaya, with one of her massive guns jutting out of the swell. She lies about 24 kilometers west of Santiago. The wreck is in shallow waters, driven aground by her captain. Some of her crew escaped the flames and scrambled for shore. Many never made it. Vizcaya had been built in Spain in 1891 and modeled after the British Aurora class. She was a sister ship to the Maria Theresa and the Oquendo.
I think today on Vizcaya we should concentrate, forward.
Diving the Vizcaya, I was once again glad to follow Jim's lead. He almost instantly spotted the ship's anchor. There it was, the big ring that the chain shackle would have attached to, and the shank of the anchor was all there. Moving on, you're struck with the amount of current that exists at Vizcaya, because it too is shallow. And Jim gestured that we get in the lee of the ship, where we would be less affected by the water moving back and forth. While Vizcaya is badly broken, there are some very large pieces of the hull still standing, and Jim was able to get in behind one of the broken out portholes.
Vizcaya was the Spanish vessel that was ordered to New York as a counterpoint to the Maine's arrival in Havana. She was at anchor there when word of the Maine explosion reached America. Vizcaya was branded a threat to the city by the local press, and she left for Havana on February 24th. During the July 3rd Battle of Santiago, on her fateful escape from the harbor entrance, she was hit by nearly every U.S. ship. She was burning fiercely and exploded shortly after 11:15 a.m.
Remembering the pictures of Vizcaya that were taken after she had wrecked, I recalled that she was standing proud out of the water. So you can imagine that same wreck now, 100 years later, after hurricanes have beaten and battered it. Jim found a very large gun, still intact with its protective armor shell, and I could see that he was trying to get inside, and there just wasn't enough room for him to get inside, but his patience were rewarded. He finally did find a spot where he could just squeeze through, and it was a matter of timing. The small aperture causes the current to move in and out of the gun really, really fast, so you really have to time it just right. But once you are inside, it was like being in a really large room with far less current. Jim pointed to the gun, and until he did, I didn't take the time to realize just how massive these guns were. They're huge. The base was the size of a tree. Around the outside of the armor plate were a series of portholes, and it would have been from this position that perhaps a lone or a team of Spanish gunners would have poised their guns and aimed them back at the American fleet to return fire.
We climbed all the way inside the aft turret.
Cool.
We were able to force our way in, so we were able to get in under the gun shield, go all the way back, all the way to the breech of the gun.
Just when you'd be ready to go through, a big gush would hit you in the face, so you couldn't go forward, and all of a sudden it would be driving you in. So it was a matter of timing.
What about battle damage?
What's left, again, are the 6 boilers.
Yeah.
No real sign of the engines, just debris.
Yeah.
Both gun turrets, all the secondary armament's gone.
Yeah.
So there's been some salvage and some stripping.
John?